Imagine reaching into an old coffee can of change and realizing that one small, worn Lincoln penny could alter the course of your financial life. Not someday, today. That is not a fantasy or late-night infomercial hype. Right now, in the world of serious collectors and high-stakes auctions, specific 1982 mint Mark Lincoln pennies connected to rare varieties and exceptional conditions have been discussed at values pushing into the high six figures, with claims soaring even higher. The current market conversation places truly extraordinary examples near the $975,000 mark. 10 simple minutes from now, you will know exactly what to look for, how to avoid costly mistakes, and how an overlooked coin in your drawer may be the missing bridge between where you are and the wealthier lifestyle you've imagined for yourself and your family. Act 1 begins with a decision you may have already made. You have coins tucked away. You have wondered if they are worth anything. And yet, one emotion has quietly stopped you from acting. Fear. Fear of being wrong. Fear of being taken advantage of. Fear of missing out if you sell too soon. Let's step directly into that fear and turn it into power. The story of the 1982 penny is, at its core, the story of a transition year in American coinage, when the United States Mint shifted from heavier copper cents to lighter zinc ones. Most people never noticed. Collectors did. Within that transition, rare combinations of date size, composition, mint mark, and striking errors created a tiny subset of pennies that are anything but ordinary. A few have shocked the market. Some have been graded at elite levels and chased by high-net-worth collectors willing to pay life-changing money. What if one of those is already in your possession? And here's the humorous pattern interrupt you didn't expect. Right now, somewhere in America, a penny is sitting under a refrigerator magnet, literally holding up a pizza coupon, quietly worth more than the refrigerator. The hook becomes deeper when you realize that millions of 1982 pennies exist, but only a razor-thin fraction carry the traits that push them into the realm of massive value. That is where most people either give up or throw coins into coin-counting machines, unknowingly pouring small fortunes into grocery store kiosks. You are not most people. You are here because something in you suspects you might be sitting on more than spare change. This video is the turning point where curiosity becomes confidence. Stay with me because in a moment I am going to reveal the specific characteristics and simple tests that separate common pocket change from the kind of 1982 Lincoln penny that can command extraordinary market attention. But before we cross that line, ask yourself an uncomfortable question. If you already had a $975,000 asset in your home right now, would you even recognize it? Or would you sweep it into a coin jar and forget it existed? Act 2 shifts from mystery to mastery. Now we get practical, precise, and strategic. The 1982 penny story begins with two key realities: composition and variety. In 1982, some pennies were copper-based and weigh about 3.11 grams, while others are zinc-based and weigh about 2.5 grams. Rare varieties from the Denver Mint with unexpected combinations of date style and metal composition are where value can skyrocket. That means a basic digital scale becomes your first wealth-building tool. Not glamorous, not complicated, but incredibly powerful. Weighing your coin, examining date style, and confirming mint mark are the first gates to walk through. The second reality is condition. Collectors and grading services obsess over details. Sharpness of strike, luster, minimal wear, and absence of scratches elevate price dramatically. This is why some coins sell for hundreds while elite survivors can chase high six-figure results. A penny doesn't become extraordinary because someone says it is. It becomes extraordinary because the market competes for it. And the market is hungry right now. Here comes a cliffhanger moment to reset your attention. What if the coin you ignore is the one your grandchildren will Google someday and say, "They had it. They had it in their hands and never knew"? That's the fear talking again. But fear can be fuel when used correctly. The flip side is excitement. You could also be the person who recognizes the signs, verifies the variety, submits the coin for professional grading, and watches the bidding climb higher than you imagined possible. Which story belongs to you depends entirely on what you do after this video ends. Quick humor break so your brain doesn't overload. Your future self may owe your past self a very nice dinner if you go grab that old jar of coins tonight. The urgency is real. Market attention shifts. News cycles move. Coins that are hot today can cool tomorrow and then surge again. Right now, the conversation around elite 1982 Lincoln penny examples is intense, with discussions and reported valuations reaching toward $975,000 for the most exceptional cases. That does not mean every 1982 penny is rare, and it certainly does not mean every coin will make you a millionaire. But it does mean opportunity exists for people who are informed and decisive. The path from jar to auction runs through 3 professional steps: identification, authentication, and grading. Skipping any one of those is like finding oil and refusing to drill. Reputable coin dealers, certified grading companies, and auction houses exist for a reason. They protect value. They document authenticity. They open doors to serious buyers. If you have ever sold something valuable too cheaply and regretted it for years, you already know why this matters. Act 3 is where your story moves from possibility to action. You are not just watching a video. You are standing at a threshold. The penny is symbolic, but the lifestyle shift is very real. Maybe you want to pay off debt. Maybe you want travel, choices, freedom, or to simply live without financial anxiety. A rare coin is not just metal. It is leverage. It is time. It is options. Here is the empowering truth. Wealthy people do not get lucky as often as they make informed decisions at the right moment. This is one of those moments. You already have the age group and life experience where small decisions compound into big outcomes. You have likely lived through recessions, job changes, and financial surprises. Owning a potentially valuable 1982 Lincoln penny is a moment where the surprise works in your favor. Let me connect this to something even bigger. When you start looking at your change differently, you start looking at your life differently. You stop assuming value is somewhere else with someone else. You realize value may already be in your home, in your control. That shift in mindset is what truly wealthy people share. They see opportunity where others see randomness. And yes, sometimes that opportunity is literally 1 cent. The cliffhanger I will leave you with is this. Somewhere in the United States tonight, someone will discover a rare penny that changes their financial story forever. Will it be the person who watched this all the way through and took action, or the person who almost did? Before you leave, make a promise to yourself that you won't let fear or procrastination rob you of potential wealth. Pull out your coins. Look for the 1982 mint mark. Check weight. Study condition. Seek professional confirmation. Treat the possibility with respect. If you do discover a special coin, move deliberately, not impulsively. You are not just selling metal. You are negotiating your future. And yes, allow yourself to feel the excitement. You are allowed to imagine a different lifestyle, the one with fewer limits and more choices. Imagine reaching into a jar of old change, the kind that's been sitting forgotten in a kitchen drawer for decades, and pulling out a single penny that could change your financial life forever. Stay with me because in the next few minutes we're going to explore how an ordinary-looking 1972 Lincoln penny without a mint mark turned into a coin people whisper about in auction rooms, a coin associated with values reported in the hundreds of thousands and, in rare cases, headlines claiming $1 million potential. More important than the number is the possibility it represents. What if wealth has been sitting in your home all along? And what if, by the end of this video, you realize that the opportunity clock is ticking? Act 1 begins with the hook, the mystery of the 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny. To the untrained eye, it looks like a regular copper coin. No golden glow, no diamond inlay, just Abraham Lincoln staring calmly to the right as he always does. Yet beneath that calm expression lies a story of minting errors, rarity, survival, and human desire. In 1972, millions of pennies were struck in Philadelphia, which traditionally did not use a mint mark. Hidden among those were coins with a striking flaw in the doubling of the date and design that changed them from pocket change to treasures. And here is where the fear creeps in, the fear that maybe you've held one before and spent it unknowingly on a cup of coffee. How many fortunes have slipped through our fingers because we didn't recognize the opportunity when it was right in front of us? Ironically, that might be the cheapest coffee ever purchased and the most expensive one ever sold. Before we dive deeper, ask yourself this quick question. When was the last time you actually looked closely at a penny? Not used it, not tossed it in a tip jar, but really examined it? Most of us don't. It is the lowly coin, the one we apologize with when we pay in change. Yet that tiny disc of copper may be the key to the wealthy lifestyle you've dreamed about. Yes, you, the person thinking of selling old and rare coins you've inherited, collected, or just never bothered to cash in. That little coin is whispering, maybe yelling, "Look again." Now, here's a brief pattern interrupt because your brain might be drifting. At some point in this story, you may find yourself staring at every penny like a detective squinting through a magnifying glass. You might also wonder if you should start carrying a jeweler's loupe to the grocery store. If that happens, congratulations. You're paying attention. Back to the story. The absence of the mint mark itself is normal for Philadelphia coins of that era, but the magic comes from the varieties created by double die obverse errors. Letters in Liberty and In God We Trust appear doubled. The date looks shadowed and strong, and this powerful visual difference signals rarity. As collectors recognized what these coins were, demand grew, and demand plus rarity equals value. That is the equation of numismatic wealth. Over time, high-grade examples authenticated by respected grading services have achieved astonishing prices at auction, with reports of market values reaching into the hundreds of thousands, sometimes cited near the $943,000 mark depending on condition, provenance, and buyer excitement. Markets move, prices fluctuate, and condition is everything, but the emotion remains the same. The jolt of excitement that something so small could be so powerful. Act 2 is the confrontation, the part where desire battles doubt. You might be thinking, that's great for someone else, but what are the chances I have one? That doubt is natural. But remember, every coin found today was once sitting unnoticed somewhere. Shoe boxes, old coffee cans, estate inheritances that nobody bothered to appraise. If you are between 30 and 65, you are exactly the generation standing at the intersection of two realities. Parents or grandparents who handled pre-80s coinage daily, and a digital market where selling rare coins is easier than ever. The window is open right now, but windows do not stay open forever. Coins get lost, collections get broken apart, conditions deteriorate, and the market, like any market, changes. Here's where urgency comes in. Waiting may cost you money. Condition is not just a detail, it is destiny in the coin world. A 1972 penny with the right characteristics in pristine, uncirculated condition can mean the difference between pocket change and life-changing money. So the real question isn't just, do you have one? But, will you check before it's too late? Picture an auction room where the bidding escalates. The auctioneer speaks faster, numbers jump, and suddenly a coin you once would have ignored is commanding numbers you used to associate with houses. That's not fiction. That is what happens when rarity meets competition and emotion. Let's reset your attention for a moment with a little humor. Pennies are the coin most people step on, ignore, or sweep out of car cup holders. Somewhere out there, a janitor sweeping a floor could flick away a tiny disc worth more than a luxury car. Isn't it amazing how life hides wealth in the things we neglect the most? The lesson is bigger than coins. Overlooked value exists everywhere, including in you. Act 2 also includes empowerment. You are not powerless in this story. You can learn the signs. Strong doubling on the date, clear separation in letters, the crispness of detail. You can research grading services and legitimate dealers. You can choose not to get taken advantage of by selling something rare for pennies on the dollar because you were in a hurry. Authority comes from knowledge, and wealth follows authority. If you plan to sell rare pennies, be strategic, thoughtful, and informed. Ask questions. Seek authentication. Treat your coins like assets, not clutter. And here comes the cliffhanger that bridges us to Act 3. There is one critical mistake owners of rare 1972 pennies make all the time. A mistake that can instantly destroy value and turn a potentially six-figure coin into ordinary copper scrap in seconds. I'll tell you exactly what that mistake is in just a moment, and you might be surprised how easy it is to avoid. Act 3 is the resolution and transformation. The fatal mistake is cleaning the coin. Polishing, scrubbing, shining. Making it look better often destroys the very surface that graders analyze, wiping away the originality that collectors pay a premium for. It feels innocent, even helpful, like washing a car before selling it, but in coins the opposite is true. Leave it as is. Natural condition is king. That one decision to do nothing can be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars in preserved value. Sometimes wealth comes from restraint, not effort. Now imagine your life on the other side of taking action. You sift through your coins, you identify something special, you get it properly authenticated, and you sell it for a life-changing amount. What would you do? Pay off debt? Invest? Travel? Build the life you promised yourself you'd have by now? This is where excitement meets responsibility. Selling rare coins is not just about getting rich. It is about gaining control, creating options, and proving to yourself that opportunities are everywhere if you're willing to look closely. But here is one more suspenseful question lingering in the air. What if the most valuable coin you own is not the 1972 no-mint mark penny at all? What if another sleeper coin is hiding near it, waiting to surprise you even more? That possibility is why collectors keep looking and why you should, too. The story isn't ending here. It may just be beginning in your own home. As we close, remember this. The wealthy lifestyle you admire is not reserved for a chosen few. Sometimes it starts with curiosity, a magnifying glass, and a decision not to underestimate small things. The 1972 no-mint mark Lincoln penny is a symbol of what happens when rarity meets awareness. Fear of missing out can paralyze you, or it can push you into action. Let it push you. Check your coins. Learn. Authenticate. Protect. And if you discover something extraordinary, move with confidence and urgency, because opportunity does not like to wait. What if that single coin carried a value whispered in elite collector circles, a number so large it feels unreal? $987,000. Not for gold, not for silver, for a 1968 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Before you dismiss that as impossible, ask yourself this one question. How many fortunes were missed because someone assumed it's just a penny? Stay with me, because this is not just a coin story. This is a story about awareness, timing, and the hidden wealth sitting in plain sight across America. Our story begins in 1968, a pivotal year in U.S. coinage history. The Philadelphia Mint, which traditionally used no mint mark, was striking Lincoln cents at massive scale. Millions entered circulation, most completely ordinary. But history never rewards perfection alone, it rewards deviation. Deep inside the minting process, small variations occurred. These aged, pressure shifted, alignment slipped, and from those conditions, rare error coins were born. These are not flaws. They are fingerprints of history. Certain 1968 no-mint mark Lincoln cents emerged with dramatic, unmistakable errors, strong doubling, off-center strikes, and anomalies so bold they stopped experts mid-sentence. That's where the value story truly begins. Now here's where excitement takes over. Serious collectors don't chase common coins. They hunt for moments when the system failed in spectacular fashion. The 1968 no-mint mark penny sits at the intersection of history, scarcity, and visibility. When a rare error from this year surfaces in exceptional condition, demand doesn't trickle in, it surges. High-profile discussions, private sales, and aggressive valuations have pushed top-tier examples into headline territory, with elite specimens discussed near the $987,000 mark. Let that sink in for a second. A coin older than many of us, still circulating quietly for decades, suddenly commanding the kind of money that reshapes lives. Pattern interrupt, quick reality check. Be honest. If you found a penny on the sidewalk today, would you bend down to pick it up? Most people wouldn't. And that's exactly why fear is creeping into the market right now. Fear of having already owned something extraordinary and never knowing it. Fear of spending a small fortune for face value. Because the truth is uncomfortable. The rarest coins often pass through ordinary hands first. Not collectors, not experts, regular Americans who simply didn't know what they had. As we move deeper into this story, the urgency becomes real. The coin market today is not the coin market of 20 years ago. Wealthy investors are moving into tangible assets. Estates are being liquidated. Supply is tightening. And Lincoln cents, especially historic error coins, are being reevaluated as cultural artifacts, not pocket change. The 1968 no-mint mark penny has become a symbol of this shift. It represents a moment when everyday money transformed into elite property. That's why demand is not slowing. It's intensifying behind closed doors in private negotiations and among buyers who already understand what most people are just starting to realize. Let me reset your attention with a simple question. What would change in your life if one small decision, like checking a handful of old pennies, altered your financial trajectory forever? That pause you just felt is the sound of opportunity knocking. Because here's the reality. Once a rare error coin is authenticated and recognized, it doesn't wait around. It moves quickly into strong hands. And the longer people wait, the fewer chances remain. Now we arrive at the final act, the moment of clarity. This is where inspiration replaces hesitation. Across the United States, people your age are rediscovering their collections, inherited jars, and forgotten rolls with a new sense of purpose. They're not chasing hype. They're confirming facts. They're not gambling. They're verifying history. When a genuine 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny with a high-impact error is identified, it enters a completely different world, one of serious money, serious buyers, and serious outcomes. A little humor before we close. Imagine telling someone in 1968, "Hold on to that penny, it might be worth nearly $1 million someday." They'd laugh you out of the room. Yet today, that laughter has turned into disbelief, and disbelief into action. Because wealth doesn't always arrive wrapped in luxury. Sometimes it arrives disguised as something familiar, something ignored, something underestimated. The message is simple and powerful. This is a positive moment, a moment of awareness, a moment when knowledge becomes leverage. Whether the final number is life-changing or legacy-defining, the demand for rare 1968 no-mint Mark Lincoln penny errors is real, active, and growing. Don't see pennies as leftovers from the past. See them as keys. Because the next great American coin story isn't waiting in a museum. It's waiting for someone curious enough to look. Imagine finding nearly $1 million in your pocket change without knowing it. What would that feel like? The room goes quiet. Your heart thumps in your ears. Could a tiny, humble penny really unlock a life you've dreamed about? Today we're diving deep into one of the most jaw-dropping coin stories in American history. The 1977 Lincoln penny with no mint mark that collectors have paid up to $856,000 for. Stay with me because what you're about to learn could change the way you look at your loose change forever. Act 1. Let's begin with a question that might seem silly, but stick with it. How much is a penny worth? If you answered 1 cent, you're like most Americans. But what if I told you some pennies are worth hundreds, thousands, even millions of times more than their face value? That's not a typo. That's real life. First, let's travel back to 1977. The United States was spitting out billions of Lincoln pennies, each stamped with a mint mark to show where it was made. Philadelphia, Denver, or San Francisco. Most of these coins ended up in jars, couch cushions, and charity boxes, forgotten. But in rare instances, something went terribly, wonderfully wrong during the minting process. Penny was made without a mint mark. No D. No S. No letter at all. And not just any penny, a 1977 penny. That tiny omission turned an everyday coin into a legendary treasure. Imagine putting together a jigsaw puzzle and finding a piece that doesn't seem to belong, only to realize that piece is worth more than the entire box it came in. Pause. Let that sink in. How would you react if you found one of these in your wallet right now? Act 2. Here's where the story gets emotional. People who stumbled onto these pennies didn't just find old coins. They found hope. A mother cleaning out her attic. A retiree sorting decades of saved change. A teenager flipping coins at the grocery store checkout. When they discovered what they had, their hearts froze, palms sweated, and thoughts raced. Fear. Could it really be worth that much? Excitement. Could this be the ticket to financial freedom? And then the question that haunts every collector. Is it real? Because for every genuine rare coin, there are copies, fakes, and misunderstandings. This isn't monopoly money. This is real wealth. And you need to know the signs. The absence of the mint mark alone isn't enough to prove value. Condition matters. Grading matters. Authenticity matters. A coin slabbed and graded by a respected authority can bring you eye-watering sums. But here's the catch. Most pennies will still be worth a penny. That's the fear that keeps collectors up at night. What makes the valuable ones stand out? Experts look at the metal, the strike, the die imperfections that become precious signatures. It's like discovering a rare painting in your basement and realizing it was painted by a master, because of a tiny brushstroke no one else thought to notice. Now, before we go further, let's take a breath, because yes, we're about to reveal the secret most sellers don't know. And it's not what you're thinking. Act 3, if you have a 1977 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, it could be worth a fortune. But here's the truth that separates dreamers from winners. You must verify it, not with a random app, not by guessing. You need professional grading, trustworthy certification. Think of it like this. Would you sell a Picasso based only on what your cousin said? Of course not. You bring in the experts. And collectors, serious buyers, will pay premium prices only for coins with unquestionable authenticity and top condition. Now picture this, you send your penny off for grading. Days pass. You check the mailbox obsessively. And then the notification arrives. Your coin has been graded at an exceptionally high level, and its market value is confirmed at $856,000. That's not just money. That's legacy. That's the kind of number that makes headlines. That's the kind of discovery that transforms a family's future. But hold up. Let's hit the brakes for a moment with a reality check. Not every 1977 penny with no mint mark is going to be worth hundreds of thousands. Some are worth a few dollars. Some are worth absolutely nothing beyond face value. So before you rush to your coin jar, or worse, accidentally throw that dime away because you didn't recognize its value, you need to know exactly what to look for. The devil is in the details, the weight of the metal, the luster, the strike quality, and yes, the absence of the mint mark in precisely the right way. It's like finding a unicorn that kind of looks like a horse. You have to be certain it's not just wearing a horn from a child's costume. Here's a pattern interrupt. Have you ever wondered why a piece of copper that cost the United States government less than a penny to make could one day sell for more than most people make in a lifetime? Weird, right? But that's the magic and madness of rare coins, and the opportunity lies in knowing what you have before someone else does. Now, listen carefully because this part really matters. If you find what you believe is a 1977 no mint mark penny, don't clean it. Don't polish it. Don't stick it under a magnet to test it unless you know what you're doing. You could destroy its value in seconds. Instead, wrap it carefully, label it with the date and where you found it, and get it in the hands of a professional grader as soon as possible. Time can be your best friend or your worst enemy. The longer you wait, the more you risk damage or doubt about provenance. And once coins hit the auction block, emotions take over. Collectors compete, prices surge, and suddenly that little penny that sat under your coffee table becomes the star of the show. Will it be your ticket to a wealthy lifestyle? Maybe. But if you don't act quickly and intelligently, you might miss out. So here's the cliffhanger question you must ask yourself before we wrap up. What if the next coin you pick up is more valuable than anything you've ever owned? Are you ready to find out? Because opportunity doesn't knock twice. And that penny in your jar could be calling your name. Before you go digging through your old coin stash, take a moment to imagine the possibilities. Financial freedom, debt paid off, dreams realized, and stories your grandchildren will tell. That's the emotional power of rare coins. The difference between a common penny and a legendary one could be the difference between ordinary life and extraordinary wealth. And now I leave you with this final thought. The next time you hear the jingle of loose change, don't just think about cents. Think about savings, history, rarity, and possibility. Because somewhere among those coins might lie your own hidden fortune. What if I told you that a single penny, the kind you've probably ignored for decades, could be worth more than most homes in America? Not a gold bar, not a stock certificate, a penny. Right now, somewhere in the United States, someone is unknowingly holding a 1970 D mint mark Lincoln cent that collectors are willing to pay up to $965,000 for. Let that number sink in, because the most dangerous thing about this coin isn't how rare it is. It's how easily it gets overlooked. For decades, Americans have tossed pennies into jars, drawers, coffee cans, and glove compartments. We've been trained to believe they're pocket change, disposable, insignificant. And that belief has quietly cost people fortunes. The 1970 D Lincoln penny error is proof that wealth doesn't always look like wealth. Sometimes it looks like a copper coin you've carried since Nixon was president. And the clock is ticking, because demand for this coin has never been higher. Let's rewind for a moment. In 1970, the Denver Mint was producing millions of Lincoln cents during a time of economic uncertainty, inflation fears, and massive changes in American currency. What no one realized at the time was that a small number of these pennies were struck with a dramatic and highly coveted error. An error so subtle that most people spent it without a second thought. An error so rare that today, elite collectors compete fiercely to own just one verified example. This is where Act 1 begins. Ordinary people. Ordinary coins. No idea that history had slipped into their hands. Imagine a factory worker in the 1970s buying coffee with that penny. A parent dropping it into a child's piggy bank. A cashier tossing it into a register drawer. Each moment it passed from hand to hand, its value remained hidden. And that's the first emotional trigger you need to feel right now. Fear. Because if you're not paying attention, you could already have had one. And let it go. Now Act 2. This is where everything changes. Decades later, collectors and professional graders began noticing something extraordinary about certain 1970 pennies. Specific error characteristics that should not exist. Misaligned dies. Doubling that creates an almost ghost-like effect on Lincoln's date and lettering. Striking anomalies that turn an everyday cent into a six-figure artifact. When authenticated examples surfaced at high-profile auctions, jaws dropped. Prices didn't just climb, they exploded. And here's the part that should make you sit up straight. The current market value for top-tier, verified specimens has reached as high as $965,000. Nearly $1 million for one penny. Not because of hype, because of demand. Demand from serious collectors, private investors, and institutions that understand something most people don't. Rare coins are portable wealth. Inflation-resistant, discreet, powerful. Quick question to reset your attention. If someone offered you $1 million in exchange for 10 minutes of searching through your old coins, would you say no? Exactly. And yet millions of Americans never look. This coin is not weak. It is not common. It is not a gamble. It is highly sought after, tightly held, and increasingly difficult to find. The supply is fixed forever. No more will ever be made. Meanwhile, the number of collectors with money to spend keeps growing. That imbalance is what drives explosive value. That's why the urgency is real. Every year that passes, fewer unrecognized examples remain in circulation. Act 3 is about you. Right now. This moment. Because stories like this don't end in the past. They end with action. Somewhere in your home or your parents' home, or a box you haven't opened in 20 years, there could be a 1970 penny waiting to be examined properly. And the difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth life-changing money is knowledge and verification. Let's inject a little humor here, because it matters. People will spend 3 hours scrolling on their phone looking for a coupon to save $5, but won't spend 5 minutes checking coins that could be worth a small fortune. Don't be that person. Wealth doesn't reward indifference. It rewards attention. Collectors are aggressively searching for these coins right now. Auction houses want them. Dealers want them. Private buyers want them. And when a verified example appears, it doesn't sit quietly. It becomes a headline. It becomes competition. It becomes leverage. This is why understanding what you own before you sell is critical. Knowledge puts you in control. Ignorance gives it away. This isn't about luck. It's about awareness. The people who benefit from rare coin discoveries aren't smarter or richer than you. They're simply informed and decisive. They recognize that history leaves clues behind, and sometimes those clues are sitting in plain sight, stamped into copper. That if you've ever thought about a better lifestyle, financial security, or leaving something meaningful behind, this is the kind of opportunity that changes narratives. One coin can pay off a house, fund retirement, create freedom, and the only thing standing between you and that possibility is whether you choose to look. So here's the urgency. Every day, coins are lost, damaged, spent, or sold for face value because someone didn't know what they had. Don't let that be your story. The market is hot. Demand is strong. And the 1970 Lincoln penny error stands as one of the most powerful examples of hidden American wealth still waiting to be claimed. Imagine reaching into a forgotten jar of change, brushing past ordinary copper, and realizing one small penny could rewrite your financial story. Stay with me, because in the next few minutes we're going to walk through one of the most electrifying discoveries in American coin history, the 1994 Lincoln penny with no mint mark. Some examples of this rare error coin have been valued in the high six figures, with standout sales pushing toward the kind of numbers most people only associate with lottery tickets. Today we'll explore why this coin matters, how it happens, and what it could mean for the hidden treasures already in your home. And yes, before this video ends, we'll talk about the jaw-dropping figure that has serious collectors talking. But first, let me ask you a question. When was the last time you really looked at your pennies? Or did you just feed them to the parking meter like tiny copper sacrifices? Act 1 begins with the hook that matters most to you, transformation. You're here because you don't just want to collect coins. You want to convert forgotten change into life-changing opportunity, to turn curiosity into potential cash flow, to step closer to the wealthy lifestyle you've imagined for yourself and your family. The 1994 no-mint mark Lincoln penny tells a powerful story. In a world where most people ignore pennies on the ground, a select few are bending down, picking up knowledge, and walking away with something far more valuable than 1 cent. But here's the twist that sparks both excitement and fear. Not all 1994 pennies are created equal. The difference between a coin worth 1 cent and one worth hundreds of thousands of dollars can be smaller than the head of a pin. Miss it, and the opportunity slips through your fingers. Catch it, and your life could change in ways that make you smile every time you hear the clink of change. Let's step into the origin story. In 1994, millions of Lincoln pennies were minted, the overwhelming majority routine, anonymous, and unremarkable. But a tiny fraction slipped through the rigid quality control of the United States Mint. These rare pieces lacked the usual mint mark that indicates where the coin was made. It wasn't supposed to happen. It wasn't planned. Yet this small omission created a wave of fascination among numismatists and treasure hunters alike. Think of it like a typo in history that became priceless. You might chuckle and say, "So a missing letter turns a penny into a luxury car?" And surprisingly, the answer is sometimes yes, because rarity, condition, and timing converge to create extraordinary value. It's the same reason misprinted stamps, rare baseball cards, and first edition books command fortunes. Imperfection becomes perfection for collectors. Now, here's where the emotion deepens. Imagine discovering later that you once owned one of these coins and spent it on a cup of coffee. That sting, that pang of what if, is real. It's the fear of missed opportunity. But here's the good news. Your story hasn't been written yet. There are still 1994 pennies sitting in drawers, tucked in old wallets, sealed in childhood coin albums. Some of them bear that elusive missing mint mark, paired with strong eye appeal and high-grade preservation. And the current market has seen standout examples push values that approach the kind of money that could pay off a home, launch a business, or supercharge your retirement. Numbers touching the $900,000 range are not fantasy. They are wake-up calls. And before you glance away, here's a pattern interrupt. If you just thought this only happens to other people, may I gently remind you that other people also thought that 5 minutes before they found theirs. We now transition into Act 2, the rising action and the path from curiosity to control. This part is about knowledge, confidence, and action. You might be wondering what exactly to look for, how to analyze condition, and how to avoid confusing ordinary coins with extraordinary ones. The answer begins with attention. Hold a 1994 penny under bright light and look beneath the date where the mint mark usually appears. On everyday coins, you'll see a small D or S. On Philadelphia issues, often no mark appears by design. But specific error varieties and no-mint mark anomalies combined with exceptional condition can catapult value. The real drivers are authenticity, rarity, and grading quality. High-grade, uncirculated examples with strong strikes and proof-like features are the superstars that send auction rooms buzzing. And just when we dive deeper, let's reset your attention with a quick question. Who knew staring at a tiny piece of copper could make your heart race more than your last action movie? This is also where the emotional engine of urgency kicks in. The coin market is alive, not static. Values respond to demand, discovery, and the stories people tell about these coins. Right now, collectors are aggressively pursuing rare Lincoln cents, and eye-catching sales near $976,000 have fueled a fresh wave of interest. That doesn't mean every coin will reach those heights, and it certainly doesn't guarantee instant riches. But it does mean that sitting on coins without checking them is like owning lottery tickets you never bother to scratch. Time, condition, and proper handling matter. Every day a coin is tossed around in change jars or rattles in a glove compartment. Micro-scratches form, and potential value quietly erodes. That subtle fear of loss isn't to scare you, it's to wake you. Opportunity rewards those who actually look. Let's transition again, because knowledge without imagination is incomplete. Close your eyes for a moment and picture what a six-figure discovery would mean for you. Would you pay off lingering debt? Invest? Travel? Help someone you love? Maybe you'd simply enjoy the peace of knowing you made a smart move when most people weren't even paying attention. Wealth isn't only about dollars. It's about choices. The humble penny, the coin we're taught to ignore, becomes a symbol of overlooked potential. There's humor in that too. The same coin most people refuse to bend down and pick up from the sidewalk could be the very coin that buys the sidewalk. As we approach Act 3, tension peaks. You now know the stakes, the rarity, the excitement, and the fear of missing out. The final act is about decisive action and inspired confidence. You don't need to become a full-time numismatist overnight, but you can begin by gathering your coins, especially your 1994 Lincoln cents, and examining them carefully. Protect them from further wear. Consider professional grading when you believe you may have something special. Seek reliable dealers and respected auction houses when it's time to sell. The market rewards informed sellers who present coins properly, documented, authenticated, and preserved. And yes, genuine examples in elite condition can reach awe-inspiring prices, sometimes pushing toward that $900,000 benchmark that turns heads and changes lives. Here's your cliffhanger moment, the one that carries you beyond this video. Somewhere, perhaps very close to you, an unassuming 1994 penny is waiting. It might be inside a coffee can in the garage, an envelope in your desk, a coin jar you haven't counted in years. The next person to discover one could be a stranger you read about online, or it could be you. The only difference is whether you act. So ask yourself, are you going to keep walking past pennies? Or are you ready to look at them like opportunities disguised as pocket change? As we close, let excitement win over hesitation. You now understand the story, the structure, and the stakes. From the accidental creation of the 1994 no-mint mark rarity to current market values pushing into the upper six figures, this tiny coin proves that wealth sometimes whispers instead of shouts. The journey from ordinary to extraordinary can begin with something as small as a cent and a decision to pay attention. Your next step is simple. Check, learn, and move with intention. Because while most people say, it's just a penny, the people who change their financial lives smile and say, not this one. Imagine opening an old coffee can of change, the same one that's been sitting in your drawer for years, and discovering that one tiny brown penny inside isn't just worth a few cents, but has the power to change the course of your financial future. Today we're talking about the mysterious 1998 Lincoln penny with no mint mark, a coin surrounded by rumors, record-setting prices, and jaw-dropping evaluations that have reached into the hundreds of thousands of dollars, with reported current market values approaching $943,000. Now here's the real question. Could one of those pennies already be in your home? Or did you accidentally spend a fortune at the grocery store last week without ever knowing? Stay with me because by the time you finish this video, you will never look at pocket change the same way again. Act 1 begins with discovery. The modern treasure hunt doesn't always involve gold bars or pirate maps. Sometimes it's as simple as a coin with no tiny letter under the date. Most people pass over pennies because they don't feel valuable enough. In fact, people throw them in jars, car cup holders, or give them to kids to play with. But here's the twist that makes your heart beat a little faster. Certain 1998 pennies with no mint mark have been connected to serious collector demand and astonishing price tags. One moment it's just a penny, the next it's a life-altering asset. And yes, there is real fear here too. The fear of realizing too late that you once had one of these coins in your hands and let it go for a stick of gum. Think back for a second. Have you ever dumped a jar of pennies into a Coinstar machine? You might be feeling a small shiver right now. That's your brain saying, maybe I should have looked a little closer. Before we go deeper, let's reset attention with a quick question. If a penny talked, what would it say after sitting in your couch cushions for 10 years? Probably something like, "Thanks for the ride, but I was supposed to pay off your mortgage." A little humor, but also a reality check. Wealth sometimes sits right under our noses disguised as something small, ordinary, and ignored. And that is exactly where our story turns. As we transition into Act 2, the stakes rise. This is where mystery meets market reality, and excitement meets urgency. The 1998 no-mint mark penny becomes not just a coin, but a symbol. Collectors obsess over small details. No-mint mark means it was minted in Philadelphia, but errors, condition, die varieties, and rarity can suddenly launch a coin into the elite category. That is why professional grading matters so much. The difference between a penny worth a few dollars and one that changes your life can be a tiny detail viewed under magnification. Imagine that. One faint line, one sharp strike, one preserved surface, and the value explodes. Serious buyers have already demonstrated they are willing to pay staggering amounts for high-grade, rare examples, with reported market valuations reaching around $943,000 depending on grade, rarity, and demand. Just think what that would mean for your life. No more delaying retirement. No more wondering if you'll ever take that dream trip. No more someday. But do not misunderstand this as a lottery ticket fantasy. The market is real, the competition is real, and hesitating can mean losing out. Coins come to market, get snapped up by collectors, and disappear into private collections for decades. If you own something valuable and you wait too long, the opportunity window can close without warning. Here's another little cliffhanger to keep your heart up just a bit. In a moment, I'm going to tell you exactly what simple steps can move you closer to discovering whether you have one of these powerful pennies already in your possession. But first, I want to address the emotion that no one likes to admit out loud. Regret. Maybe you're thinking of that jar you gave away. Maybe you're thinking of your parents' or grandparents' coin collection you never looked through. We all carry moments where we say, "If only I had known earlier." Let this video be the line in the sand where "if only" ends and awareness begins. And now, as Act 2 reaches its peak, urgency becomes your companion. Coin markets move. Demand rises and falls. Right now, interest in rare pennies and error coins is booming among collectors and investors alike. The longer you wait to learn, the more chances slip by. You don't need to be a lifelong numismatist or a Wall Street investor. You just need curiosity, attention to detail, and the willingness to act. Ironically, the least valued coin in your pocket may become the most powerful financial tool you've ever owned. Act 3 is about transformation and action. This is where the story shifts from "a rare penny exists" to "what does this mean for you right now?" Picture yourself spreading your pennies out on the table under a bright lamp. No face on camera, just your hands, a magnifying glass, and the quiet thrill of possibility. You're no longer someone who ignores small things. You are someone who understands that wealth hides in overlooked places. You carefully check the date. You look under the year for a mint mark, or the absence of one. Your heartbeat rises a little. Could this be it? That rush you feel right there is not just excitement. It is empowerment. But here comes the cliffhanger. What if the coin sitting in your collection is even more valuable than you think? What if the combination of grade, strike, and condition places it above the average rare piece? What if the number you have in your head right now is far lower than what a buyer would actually pay? That question alone has led thousands of people to professional evaluations, online marketplaces, and high-end auctions. And yes, some have walked away with life-changing checks in their hands. Of course, with big opportunity comes responsibility. You need to protect your coin, avoid cleaning it, and consider professional grading before attempting to sell. Rushing to polish a rare penny can destroy thousands of dollars in value instantly. It's one of the biggest fears collectors have, and rightly so. One innocent mistake can erase fortune. Treat your coin like what it might be, not what it looks like. A tiny detail can separate ordinary from extraordinary. Let's reset attention again for a second. Quick question. Why do we treat pennies roughly but treat dollar bills gently? The penny has seniority. It's been around longer and, ironically, sometimes it's worth far more than paper. It's almost like money has been playing hide and seek with us this whole time. Now we move toward resolution with inspiration. If you are between 30 and 65, you understand time differently. You understand legacy, financial security, retirement planning, and the deep desire to live not just comfortably, but abundantly. A single rare coin will not magically solve everything in life, but it can open doors, fund dreams, and create breathing room. Selling old and rare pennies isn't just about cashing out. It's about recognizing value where others do not, and using that awareness to design the lifestyle you want. So here's your moment of decision. You can close this video and forget what you learned, go back to tossing pennies aside and telling yourself they don't matter. Or you can look again with new eyes, driven by knowledge instead of chance. Somewhere in your home, there may already be a coin that collectors are passionately searching for. Somewhere in a jar, a drawer, or a forgotten album might be a 1998 no-mint mark penny with the power to alter your financial story. The next move is yours. Will you wonder, or will you look? Will you watch opportunity pass by? Or will you step toward it while the market is still hot and the demand is still strong? Imagine the future version of you looking back on today and saying, "That was the day I finally took action. That was the day I stopped ignoring small things and started building a wealthy life on purpose instead of by accident." The potential is there, the knowledge is now in your hands, and time, as always, is moving. Imagine opening a dusty coffee can in the back of a kitchen drawer and discovering a single copper coin that could change the trajectory of your life. Not a lottery ticket, not an inheritance, just an ordinary-looking 1969 Lincoln penny that almost everyone else would ignore. What if that 1 cent could be worth hundreds of thousands of dollars today, even brushing against the $1 million mark? Stay with me, because in the next few minutes we're going to walk through how one small circle of copper became the key to financial freedom for a few lucky people, and how you can avoid the costly mistake of accidentally spending yours. The hook, the mystery, the hidden fortune. Here's the truth most people will never hear. Right now, across America, drawers, jars, and old cigar boxes are quietly holding coins that can be worth life-changing amounts of money. Some viewers will be thrilled by that sentence. Others will feel a jolt of fear. Because the question creeps in, have you already spent a fortune without even knowing it? The 1969 Lincoln penny is one of the most misunderstood and overlooked coins in U.S. history. Struck at the Denver Mint, it was supposed to be completely ordinary. Millions were produced. They were used to pay for chewing gum, newspapers, parking meters, everyday life. And yet, the story changed when rare and dramatic errors surfaced. Coins where tiny differences turned pocket change into prize pieces that collectors would fight over. And yes, examples tied to this date have reached staggering prices. Today, coins in extraordinary condition or with dramatic and verified errors can sell for eye-watering amounts. Some stories have touched the $1 million conversation. Recent market buzz even sees special pieces discussed near the $953,000 mark. For a penny? Pause for a second. If that doesn't make you look at your change differently, check your pulse. But hold on. Before you grab a magnifying glass and sprint to your coin jar, let's build the full picture. You deserve clear, confident understanding so you don't get taken advantage of. Because where there is money, there are mistakes. And there are people eager to capitalize on confusion. And that's where fear becomes power. When you know what to look for, you are the person in control. Discovery, danger, and the path to opportunity. So what makes any 1969 penny worth serious money? It is not magic. It is not hype. It comes down to rarity, condition, and authenticity. Certain dramatic error varieties and extremely high-grade preserved coins can push into those jaw-dropping values. But here is the emotional punch. Most people will never know the difference between a common coin and a valuable one until it is too late. They spend it. They give it away. Or worse, they sell it cheaply to someone who recognizes the treasure they didn't. Let me ask you something. Have you ever cleaned a coin to make it shine? Little pattern interrupt here. If your answer is yes, you might want to sit down. Because cleaning an old penny can take a coin worth thousands and reduce it to little more than face value. It's like washing a Rembrandt with dish soap. Please don't do it. Now here comes the cliffhanger. There is one specific detail on some rare 1969 D pennies that completely changes everything. A detail so small that many people miss it even when it's right under their nose. In just a moment, I'm going to tell you exactly what type of things serious collectors look for, but first I want you to feel something important. Imagine the moment of realization. You're at your kitchen table. The house is quiet. You tilt the penny under the light and see something unusual. Your heart rate elevates. Your palms sweat. Excitement crashes straight into fear. Is this real? Could this actually be the one? That rush is real. Thousands of people have felt it, and some of them went on to receive checks they never thought possible. Now, what separates those success stories from sad ones is not luck. It's knowledge, patience, and verification. Collectors and grading services look for three critical pillars. First, the right type of minting characteristics or dramatic error varieties associated with the year and mint mark. Second, exceptional condition. Sharp details, original surfaces, no harsh cleaning. Third, proof of authenticity through a respected grading service. Without those, you do not have a six-figure coin. With them, the conversation changes completely. And yes, coins have sold at elite auctions for immense sums. Current conversations around specific top examples touch numbers like $953,000. That is not imagination. That is the market power of rarity plus demand. But don't fall into the trap of assuming every 1969 D penny is a golden ticket. Most are not. However, the ones that are life-altering. Here's a quick humor reset. If you're now mentally replaying every time you tipped a barista with coins and thinking, I may have bought someone a yacht, don't worry, you're not alone. We've all done it. Let's transition now from fear and curiosity into action and clarity. Because knowing what to do next is what turns opportunity into results. Act 3. Action, wealth, and your next move. You are watching this because you don't just collect coins. You want freedom. You want to turn forgotten objects into wealth. You want to convert history into opportunity. That desire is powerful, and it is absolutely possible when you move deliberately. Step into this like a professional. If you have 1969 pennies with a D mint mark, don't rush. Don't clean them. Don't post blurry photos online and hope strangers tell you the truth. Instead, slow down. Examine carefully with good light and magnification. If you believe you have something extraordinary, the next leap is authentication by a reputable third-party grading service. That little plastic holder and label can be the difference between a few dollars and a life-changing check. Here's the urgency. Every year, more high-grade examples are discovered, certified, and sold. As markets move, awareness spreads. Today's values are strong because demand is fierce. If you're sitting on a truly special coin, waiting forever can be just as risky as rushing. Timing matters and markets breathe. Right now, rare U.S. coins enjoy intense collector interest, and top specimens can reach prize-level prices. And here is your final cliffhanger. Somewhere right now, someone is unknowingly carrying a small fortune in their pocket. Will they spend it at a vending machine? Or will they recognize what they're holding before it slips away forever? That answer decides whether a dream home, a debt-free retirement, or a once-in-a-lifetime vacation is just fantasy or becomes reality. Let's have one last pattern interrupt. Ask yourself this slightly uncomfortable question. Which would feel worse? Checking and finding nothing rare, or never checking and later discovering you gave away nearly $1 million for a pack of gum? That sting stays forever. Go through your jars. Open the old box your parents left behind. Look again at the coins you thought were just pennies. Because history hides in plain sight, and wealth often disguises itself as something ordinary. The 1969 D Lincoln penny has already proven one thing beyond doubt. Tiny decisions create massive consequences. Someone decided to save a coin instead of spending it and changed their financial story. You can be that person too. Knowledge is your leverage. Awareness is your advantage. And action is your path to the lifestyle you want. As you move forward, keep your mindset strong and your standards higher than your fear. Approach every discovery not with desperation, but with discernment. You are no longer guessing. You are evaluating. You are not hoping. You are deciding. Imagine finding a coin in your change and realizing it could be worth as much as a luxury home. What if one small brown penny from 1967 with no mint mark could change the financial story of your life? Before you think that sounds impossible, stay with me, because today we're diving into the world of the 1967 no mint mark Lincoln penny, how ordinary people are discovering extraordinary value, and why some of these coins are selling for hundreds of thousands of dollars, with reported values reaching toward $943,000. And yes, there is urgency because the window of opportunity for coins like this doesn't stay open forever. Let's step into Act 1. Discovery. The first act begins in the most unexpected place. Your pocket, an old coffee can in the garage, a jar in your parents' attic. Millions of 1967 pennies were minted, but not all pennies are created equal. That simple no-mint mark Lincoln cent you have may carry hidden characteristics that only trained eyes recognize. For years, coins like these sat unnoticed, while some collectors quietly turned them into life-changing sales. How many valuable coins have we already spent without even looking? That's a slightly terrifying thought, isn't it? But before panic sets in, here's the excitement. These coins exist. They're real. They're already in people's hands. Some rare examples in exceptional condition, or with special striking errors, have achieved staggering prices in the market. Imagine pulling one of those from an old jar and discovering it wasn't just 1 cent, but potentially worth a car, a house, or a serious boost to your financial freedom. If you've ever wanted to turn forgotten drawer clutter into opportunity, this is your moment. Quick reset question. When was the last time you actually looked at a penny instead of just complaining that they're annoying to carry? Exactly. Now let's build the story. In 1967, the U.S. Mint did not place mint marks on pennies as part of efforts to discourage coin hoarding during coin shortages. That's why these coins don't show a mint mark under the date the way later pennies do. Most are common, but a select few, especially high-grade examples and special varieties such as double dies, strong strikes, or preserved uncirculated coins, become incredibly desirable to serious collectors. The fear of missing out hits here, because every day, rare coins are discovered, and others are unknowingly spent back into circulation. Transformation. This is where knowledge becomes power. The difference between a penny worth 1 cent and a penny worth hundreds of thousands isn't luck alone. It's awareness, condition, and timing. Coins graded in top mint state condition, especially by professional grading services, can reach astonishing auction prices. Some reports and sales records show values climbing into the high 6 figures, even approaching $943,000 for extraordinary examples in the right market conditions. Markets change, yes, but the opportunity is very real. Many people doubt themselves and never check. They tell themselves, I probably don't have anything valuable. And then someone else finds it, sells it, and changes their life trajectory. Which side of that story do you want to be on? Let's add a pattern interrupt. You know that drawer full of mystery cables we all keep, just in case they fit something from 1998. We protect those like treasure, but the actual treasure might be the pennies next to them. Now let's go deeper so you can take real action. When you examine a 1967 penny with no mint mark, pay attention to sharp details, strong luster, and lack of wear. Look for unusual doubling on the date or lettering, strange striking patterns, or off-center designs. These can transform a common coin into a highly valuable error or variety. And remember, cleaning coins destroys value. So if you just thought, I'll shine it up, stop right there. Leave it as is and get professional advice. That one decision alone could mean the difference between a $10 coin and a $100,000 coin. Here's the transition to urgency. Right now, more collectors are entering the market. Auction records continue to inspire demand. But as more coins are graded and populations become clearer, the top opportunities get claimed. Waiting can mean watching value pass you by. Acting now can mean capturing it. Resolution and possibility. Picture yourself a few months from now. You finally went through those jars. You learned what to look for. You submitted your most promising finds for evaluation. Maybe you didn't just find one valuable coin. Maybe you found several. Maybe you turned forgotten pennies into real money. What would you do first? Pay off debt, travel, invest, help your family, or simply enjoy the confidence that comes from knowing you didn't overlook an opportunity that was sitting right in front of you? But here's the cliffhanger. What if the most valuable coin you own is the one you still haven't checked yet? It's about mindset. The wealthy lifestyle isn't just about dollars in the bank. It's about the willingness to look closer, the courage to act, and the discipline to educate yourself. Old coins reward exactly those traits. When you combine curiosity with action, the smallest coin can open the largest doors. After this video, don't just go back to business as usual. Go find those jars, those boxes, those albums you've been meaning to look at for years. Examine your 1967 no-mint mark Lincoln pennies carefully. If one appears promising, consider professional authentication and grading before selling. The market can be powerful, and while not every coin will be worth a fortune, it only takes one extraordinary piece to rewrite your financial story. And just when you think you've seen it all, there are even rarer varieties, hidden errors, and surprising values in other dates as well. We'll explore those next, but that's a story for another video.